Hello everybody and welcome to English in the Afternoon. The following several videos will be about tenses. In this video, we'll be learning about the simple present tense. Before we begin with the present tense, let's do a quick overview of all the tenses so we can see how many there are and what we need to cover. There are three basic ways of dividing time in English. We have the past, the present, and the future. Under each of these basic categories, we can divide them into more specific periods. Each one of these three categories has four subcategories. Each one has the simple version, a progressive version, a perfect, and a perfect progressive. Note, we sometimes say progressive and sometimes continuous, as in present progressive or present continuous, but they are actually the same thing. So in total, we actually have 12 tenses. Simple past, past progressive, past perfect, past perfect progressive. Simple present, present progressive, present perfect, present perfect progressive. Simple future, future progressive, future perfect, future perfect progressive. In this video, we'll go over the simple present. In a simple present sentence, the verb is in its base form, so to speak. The following are all examples of the simple present. I walk to school. They believe the earth is flat. Olivia drinks a lot of water before dinner. She travels to Vietnam every year. Do you think KFC is better than McDonald's? Before we get into the meaning of these tenses, let's cover how to make these types of sentences. As mentioned before, the verbs all appear in their base form. However, we have to slightly change them for the third person singular. Let's take a look at this in more detail. We have two different types of subjects. We have the singular and the plural. The singular are I, you, he, she, it. This means when we mention one of these in a sentence, we are talking about one person. And the plural are we, you, they, meaning many people. So if we take any verb, we can see what this looks like in the simple present. For instance, I drink, you drink. However, when we get to he, she, it, we need to put an S at the end of the verb. This becomes she drinks, he drinks, it drinks. Just be careful. When the verb ends with CH or SH or X, we need to add ES, not just S. For instance, she watches, or he teaches, or it faxes. Also, in this case, go becomes goes, do becomes does. We also need to be careful with the third person singular because a lot of the time we don't actually say he, she, or it, but instead we use names. So when we have somebody's name or a company name or a name of a country or a city, we also need to remember to put an S at the end of the verb. By the way, nobody knows why we need to put an S at the end of the verb, but it's really important to do it. English is sometimes funny that way. We, you, they are plural, and those verbs go back to their basic form without the S, as in we drink, you drink, they drink. By the way, this you and this you are different. This one is a singular, as in you, one person, and this one is plural, as in you, many people. That's one more thing that's kind of weird in English. But don't worry, there are a lot more examples. Let's do one more. I walk, you walk, he walks, she walks, it walks. We walk, you walk, they walk. Okay, now that we know about this little rule, let's see how and when to use the simple present. To better understand this, let's draw a time map. Let's imagine this line as time. Here we have the present, or now. The area to the left is the past, and the area to the right is the future. So if we have a simple present sentence like, I walk to school, it does not necessarily mean that it is something that is happening now. Rather, when we say, I walk to school, it means that this is something that usually happens, something that happens every day or every week or every year. In any case, it does not mean that it's something that is only happening right now. Same with this one. Olivia drinks a lot of water before dinner. It means that she does it often, perhaps even as a habit. She basically drinks water before dinner every night. Or again, she travels to Vietnam for work. It's something that she does often, not just right now. So anytime we want to express something that happens regularly, we need to use the simple present. We also use the simple present when talking about general truths. This means when explaining something that always happens or something that's always going to be a fact. For instance, the sun sets in the west. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. His mother is Indian. The facts in these sentences will never change. Therefore, we always say them in the simple present. If we want to put the sentence in the negative, we just need to use do not, don't, or does not, doesn't in front of the verb. We use do for I, you, we, and they, and we use does for he, she, and it. Again, we have to remember that he, she, and it are different. But in any case, if we want to turn that first sentence into a negative, we can say, I do not walk to school. Or in the case of the second one, Olivia does not drink water before dinner. Or even the third one, she does not travel to Vietnam for work. One more twist here. When we put a sentence of he, she, and it into the negative, the original verb goes back to normal. Let me show you what I mean. For instance, we say, Chris runs 5 miles each day. Obviously, we need to put an S at the end of the verb. But when we put the sentence in the negative, we say, Chris does not run 5 miles each day. Notice that the verb run does not have an S anymore. Finally, when we want to ask a question, we have to use do or does at the beginning of the sentence. For instance, does your mother work at the bank? Here we use does because your mother, in this case, is she. In other words, third person singular. Another one. Do self-driving cars have any accidents? Here we use do because self-driving cars are plural. In other words, they. Okay, now that we know a little bit more about the simple present, let's do an exercise. In the following sentences, fill in the missing verb. Make sure that you look at the rest of the sentence to use the correct version. You can pause the video here. I'll give you a minute to complete the exercise. Okay, let's look at them together. Number 1. Grace speaks Korean, English, and French very well. Number 2. The subway station closes its doors just before midnight. The subway station here is it. Number 3. Do your friends know you are not coming to their party? Number 4. Samsung does not plan on releasing a new phone this year. Number 5. James and Jerry play soccer every Tuesday after school. Remember, James and Jerry together are they. Number 6. The moon goes around the earth. Number 7. What time do banks open in British Columbia? Here, banks means many, so we need to use do. Number 8. Men buy expensive cars to impress women. Number 9. The Eiffel Tower does not have an elevator. And number 10. Where does Novak live? Excellent work. See you guys in the next video where we cover the present progressive tense.